What's up guys, D628 here. Welcome to a new video of not the Mini Cooper, but the Toyota Prius. Today we're doing an oil change on the Toyota Prius, and I'm also switching out the air filter. Even though I did it not that long ago, but I drove through very dusty areas up in Cascade, Idaho multiple times, so you can see the car is pretty like dusty and stuff. I don't know when the last time it was when I changed the air filter, so we're just gonna do that again, but mainly this video is for the oil change. So what you're gonna need is oil. I'm going with Castrol Edge Extended Performance. It's for 25,000 miles. I honestly do my oil changes on the Toyota Prius every 10,000 miles, like 7 to 10,000 miles. This time I pushed it to like literally 10,005 miles. Hybrids can go pretty long with the new oil that's in the world and just how little the motor actually works. I checked the oil yesterday when I went to go pick the stuff up at Walmart, and it's still perfect level and it still looks like brand new oil. So it's pretty crazy how it works, because on this car I run it for 30 minutes and the oil is dark brown and looks burnt. More to that car in the next episode. So if you guys want to see more of the Mini Cooper, hit the like button and the subscribe button down below to see more of that car. Maybe not good. I personally went with Castrol Edge 0820 is what we're using for the Prius. I went with a Fran Synthetic Endurance 25,000 mile protection. Both of this I think was about $39, $40, and that's pretty much all you need. This was about 12 bucks for a new Ultra air filter, and then I put seafoam in the car and just drove it from the local Walmart back home with the seafoam, just a little bit in there, like 2-3 ounces. It's pretty much an ounce per every quart, which this car takes 4.6 quarts, I believe. I put about 2 or 3 ounces in there and just ran it a little bit. What you can do is put that in your car and just let it run for about 15 minutes on idle, just to kind of clean the inside for extra little protection. The tools that you're gonna need is jack stands to, you know, be safe with it. A jack, if you don't have a regular center jack, you can do this side jack and get it lifted. I have a 64 millimeter 14 tooth, I believe. I'll put it in the screen, the exact correct one. This makes the oil filter a lot easier to replace. We have a 14 millimeter socket. I'm just using a long one just to be a little bit easier, and then just a ratchet for whatever size necessary. So I have that one for this, and I have that one for this. An oil drain pan, because we're gonna need to drain the oil, and then I have paper towels handy to make the job a little bit cleaner and easier. These are really cheap to pick up if you don't want to make an oil spill on the floor. You can put this under and it should protect your concrete. If you have a garage, I would recommend doing it on like a surface like this, just because it is actually a lot easier to clean. If you do have an oil spill on your concrete, obviously that stains and it's really bad. I would have some brake parts cleaner handy on the side as well, just because this stuff will clean oil off. Or if you have diesel nearby, which that's just easier to have that in an aerosol can. It's about 4 bucks a can. I use it for all the stains, and I've left no significant stains, and I've made some pretty big oil spills on that rough concrete, and it's worked perfectly fine. You just spray it on there and just scrub it out and it'll come right off. So pretty good stuff. A little nice to know little tip. But anyways, let's get into the job and get this oil changed. For the oil, you have it right over here to have the fill plug, and then this is where you check your oil on the Prius. First step is make sure you're on a level surface and you have some, I would recommend something better than some skinny-ish woods, but just have some wheel chocks lined up to make sure that it's not going to roll forward and backwards, and put your handbrake on as much as you can to make sure that the wheels in the back are locked up. And now we're going to lift it with this Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh, whatever, jack. I recommend it in every single one of my videos, but I recommend like a hockey puck thing that you can put on the jack, just because it will protect your metal that you have on the vehicle when it comes to the jack stands and the jack. So the jack point on this car, as you can see, the jack is pretty much almost centered with the vehicle, and it's just right over here, this little metal part right there. Not deep in it at all, that way your jack can easily get in there, and that is that. Once it makes contact, you can get out under the car And you can see where it's at on the placement of that. Not deep in and not much to the right, pretty much in the center. All right, we got the car lifted. As you can see how high it has to go for the jack stand to fit. And I also have these rubber on the jack stand because you have the pinch welds. And you will see this is where we will be putting our jack stand. And what's a little bit easier is you go forward and you slide it backwards to get to that point. And this rubber just protects the pinch welds to not get bent out of shape. So we'll put that one on there and the one on the same exact area on the other side. And because the jack point is a little bit more towards the driver's side, you can see there's a lot more clearance on this side here. Just make sure that's straight on there and then have both jack stands on the same level. That way the car is not uneven. So once the jack stands are at the point, we'll drop the jack and it should be nice and level. And once you have it on the jack stands again, just go to the wheel chocks again, just because the car moves, and just make sure it's all locked into place of where it needs to be. And then whenever it's on the jack stands, I just take the car from the pillar, and I'll do it with two hands, but I just shake the hell out of the car. It's better the car to fall a couple of inches on the concrete and nothing happen to it, rather than it to fall for you. Just again, safety first, but just shake the hell out of the car. And now we can get to the oil change part. All right, so underneath the vehicle, if this is, I'm laying now, and towards over there is the front of the vehicle, that is your drain, or that's your lift point. If you just move this way, there's this whole section here, and there's three that you take off. And one is right here, hopefully you guys can see that. One is right over here, this one, and then one is right over here. You take that off and then this flap can open. Sorry, I have very limited space here, but you flip this open here, and then that gives you your access to your drain bolt, which is right here, and then your filter I think is right over there, but I haven't slid under it enough to see, but that gets you to that point there. There's those three plastic trims, and you just use this screwdriver to do it. One looks like this right here actually, so you just take it in between that and flick it. One is like that, one is just like a really big one. Same thing, same concept, you just take the screwdriver and flick it out of there and they will come right off. All right, so you can see where that flap is right here in that direction, and then you can just use the floor or a bungee cord, and you can like tie it to the front. I think that's what I did last time, a little bungee cord, and just kind of hold it up so it's not in the way. But now we'll grab our oil pan and slide it under there and get that nice and ready. This is a huge oil pan, so I really don't need this, but if you don't have a big oil pan or something, you can use that. All right, we'll grab our socket, and this is the 14 millimeter. Remember, righty tighty, lefty loosey. Just get it loosened right there. If the engine is hot, just be careful if the oil is hot, but just get it hand loosened. And just to be a little bit easier, you always put pressure on this, so just press against it while unloosening it. That way it's just less of a spill. But once you get it to the point where it can pull off, you just pull off, and that way you have minimal mess on that. So now we'll let it drain, and we will open the top up just for better airflow. So we'll crack that open just so there is better airflow. I always like to have it covered though, just so stuff doesn't fall in. And we'll pop the dipstick a little bit as well, just for more airflow. And now we can sit back and relax and take a drink while that's draining out. Once it's fully drained out, I would recommend getting a new drain plug, and I would recommend getting one with like a magnetic tip, but I completely forgot to get a new one, so I'm just gonna use this one. Didn't have issues with it last time, but we're gonna get that tightened down. Just wipe off the around this, and then we'll get it tightened down with the ratchet once we move the bucket. This right here is where your oil filter housing is, so I'm going to take that big ratchet with that 64mm 12-tooth adapter, and we're gonna get that spun open there. All right, so now it's on there, and we're just gonna spin that open. So I'm gonna take the ratchet off, that way I can kind of do the same concept with the drain plug and try to make as little mess as possible. But we're gonna spin that open and just kind of let it drip out. That way you just make as less mess as possible. Hopefully you guys can see, but the oil filter, and with the metal, because the metal is kind of stuck on there, so I'm gonna have to take that out. But yeah, we got the filter there. We will inspect the filter to see if there's any metal inside, to see how the engine is doing. All right, so I'm grabbing my new filter here. Should come with a new oil filter gasket, so make sure to replace that every time. You can use that screwdriver from earlier and get that filter off, and just always make sure the gasket's oiled up. That's good. Grab the new filter, make sure it's nice and seated in there, and we'll get it back on there. So I just kind of hit the metal against the floor just to get that off of there. But yeah, we're gonna get that back on there now. Same thing, just in reverse, spin it on there. Doesn't have to be overly tight, just nice hand tighten there. Just kind of hit it, that way it comes off, and that part is done. Now it's just, well, almost. There we go. Now that part's done. Now it's just filling it up. I like to keep the flap open just to see if there is any leaks coming through, but we're just gonna tighten this down a bit more because we just hand tightened it. The fill area is kind of weird because it has this in front of it, so just find one that kind of fits in there. I'm just kind of squeezing it in and see how it kind of goes in there. Doesn't have to be perfect, as long as you can just kind of keep it clean. Make sure to clean the dipstick beforehand just so you can see the actual fill line. Pop your oil. Again, I'm using Castrol 020 Edge Extended Performance for this car specifically. It has been sitting in the sun, so the flow will be nice. And just make sure that this is cleaned out as well. You don't want any contaminants to be going in there. And then just start filling. And I fill it just a tad bit like that. And then I'm gonna go under and check if anything is leaking. So 4.4 quarts or 4.2 liters. This is 5 quarts. So almost all of this will be going in. Make sure the drain plug is just staying on there. You don't want that to spill over. You can hold it with one hand. Still have about 0.7 quarts or so. Just get to a level ground and you can look at the meter on the canister. Since we're getting so close, I am gonna check the dipstick just to make sure that we're not over, in case some of it didn't drain out or something. This oil is very liquidy. It's very like thin. So it's sometimes hard to tell on the dipstick to see where it's at. So the dipstick is looking pretty full. It's hard to tell just because the oil is warm and it's such a liquidy oil. It's very thin. I'm gonna leave it at that because it is pretty much wet where it is. You just can't like see a line on it. So I'm gonna leave it at there, you know, let the engine run a little bit and then just check it again on flat level ground. The car is pretty flat, even though right here it kind of starts dipping down, but with the lift it is pretty straight. But I will check that in the future. And then that's pretty much that. So we're just gonna get that closed up down there, put the oil cap back on, and then if we need to, you know, drive it for 20 minutes or so and just double check the dipstick. If you need more, obviously fill it up a tad bit more. So now what we can do is put that to its side. As you can see, we do have a little bit of a mess, and I'll show you with that brake cleaner how easy it is to clean off. I just buy the Super Tech one from Walmart. It's the cheapest one. It seems to do the job for all cleaning purposes. And you'll douse it on there, and then you'll just take like a paper towel, preferably like a scrub, like a dishwash scrub thing. But that's what you'll do, and it should take it all off. The fresher it is, the easier it is to clean, just so you know. But yeah, stains are gone, other than the ones that need to be cleaned. That's how you clean oil with some brake cleaner. It's fantastic. And now for the air filter, it's just right here. You just unclip these two. You can loosen this up a tad bit to make it a little bit easier, but you can just lift that and you can grab that filter. Honestly, you can see the filter is pretty clean. I didn't even have to do it really at all. Honestly, I probably won't even change it because it is literally like perfect. I thought it was gonna be worse just because I've been driving quite a bit with it and it was up in Cascade, but we're actually gonna return that because that is pretty much perfectly fine. Thought it was gonna be worse, but actually the filter looks literally brand new, which is quite impressive. But yeah, that's that. You'll put those clips back on, make sure that's all good. I'm gonna check for leaks one more time as I'm down there. But that's pretty much it. That's how you change an oil on a 2013 Toyota Prius. Very easy, very minimal. A lot of people think with like hybrids and stuff, you need some extra tools or special tools to get a simple job like that done, because they're gonna charge you probably $100 to do that, when you can do it for about $38 and 20 minutes of your own time if you're not making a video. With making a video, it takes a little bit longer, but you do it yourself and you have the specific, because I have multiple tools for different cars, so I kind of forget which one I need. If you're just doing it for that car, super easy to do. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you guys like the video, hit the like button down below. If you want to see more of the Mini Cooper and other cars and the Toyota Prius and the Subaru that I've been working on, hit the subscribe button down below. And yeah, and there will be another Subaru in the future that doesn't run, that we will make run. That will be coming up soon for you guys. So not soon for you guys, probably like a month or so. Still gotta get this figured out. Blue with blue. But yeah, that's pretty much that. So thank you guys for joining me, and I hope you guys have a wonderful and beautiful day. D62 waits out.